Wow, what a game. Honestly, what an amazing experience. I don't know. I'm genuinely sad that I finished it. You know, that moment when the credits started rolling and part of you just goes, oh no. Yeah, that moment. This is the kind of game I could have easily played for another 100 hours. Easily. I enjoyed it from the very beginning all the way to the end. And finishing it almost feels like closing a chapter with companions I've been through a lot with. That's a feeling very few games manage to pull off. So honestly, Owlcat Games, hats off. You made an absolutely amazing game. With just a few small exceptions, I like pretty much everything about this game. The world, the story, the writing, the combat, the companions, all of it. If I had to point at one thing that wasn't really my favorite, it probably would be the colony management. But other than that, this game really shines in almost every area. And I want to start with the story because that's what hooked me right away. The story had me from the start. And every time things felt like they were calming down a bit, the dust was settling, a major plot twist showed up at exactly the right moment and pulled me straight back in. I was always curious about what was coming next. And this is not easy for long games. Even toward the end, the story goes to places I genuinely never would have expected. It was completely unpredictable. A lot of games struggle with this. You can usually feel where the story is heading, or at least roughly guess the destination. But this game, not at all. Also, what really impressed me is how well the side quests are integrated into the main story. They don't feel like side quests at all. They just feel like part of the world. And both in the main story and the side content, the choices and consequence system is phenomenal. Toward the end of the game, and we are talking after more than 100 hours, I was still seeing consequences from things that happened way earlier. Some from the main quest and some from side quest. That kind of long-term payoff really stood out to me. I also got comments during the playthrough from viewers, and thank you very much for that, comparing my run with theirs. Different decisions, different outcomes, different consequences. And it really hit me just how much the game can change based on different choices. That alone gives this game an insane level of replayability. The game is split into 5 chapters, each focusing on one or more major story arcs. Personally, my favorite was the second chapter, followed by the last chapter. The weirdest one for me was the third chapter. I won't spoil why, but if you watch the playthrough, you probably know what I mean. On top of that, you've got regular side quests, companion quests, and quests built around rumors, which I really liked as a concept. It makes the world feel alive, like things are happening whether you are there or not. The companions, while not many, felt like just the right number for me. I never felt overwhelmed by too many choices. And several of them at least in my case, I generally ended up caring about. I wanted to learn their backgrounds, do their personal quests, and see how their stories played out. During the playthrough, I often referred to my core party as the Magnificent Six. And if I had to rank my favorites, excluding my own character, I'd probably go with Kibela, Abelard, Iliad, Argenta, and Ulfar. But honestly, the difference between them is pretty small, because they all complemented each other so well. Kibela was my insane sword fighter. Abelard was the frontline melee damage dealer. Especially towards the end, he was just brutal. Iliad and Argenta were my super snipers. And Ulfar, he was the tank, the wall. He was a true bullet sponge. If the game had allowed a party of 7, Kasha would have been my next pick, no question. I really liked Idira at first, but over time Kasha slowly took her place. I never quite clicked though with Enrix, Pascal, or Jay. I know there are other potential companions as well, but my playthrough didn't lead to recruiting them, either because the story path or because of my own choices. And honestly, I really like that. It makes the whole experience feel personal, like this really was my Rogue Trader journey. When it comes to classes, Owlcat definitely reduced the number compared to their previous games. Pathfinder, to be more precise. But when it comes to abilities inside those classes, they went all in. There is a huge number of abilities, weapons, armors, and interactions. And Owlcat is known for making games with very deep, very intricate systems. And Rogue Trader is no exception. The game can be pretty unforgiving if those systems aren't understood properly. In a way, the game expects you to decode it. And yeah, that can feel overwhelming, especially early on. What helped me the most was just slowing down and giving myself permission to read things carefully. Abilities during level ups, tooltips during fights, weapons and armor descriptions, sometimes more than once. It's not always exciting, and sometimes it slows things down, but understanding why and how things work made a massive difference for me. I'm generally familiar with RPG basics, agility, perception, that kind of stuff. And even then, it still took me a while for everything to really click. Early on, I spent a lot of time reading and rereading things just to make sure I was actually connecting the dots. Because of that, I'll mention this very humbly. Over the entire playthrough, I only lost a single fight, despite playing on daring difficulty from start to finish. I won't spoil which one, but if you watch the series, you'll definitely find it. And I'm not saying that to flex, because there are many other players who finish the game on much higher difficulty than me. I'm saying it because it confirmed something I already suspected. Owlcat games are often won or lost in the menus. The fights themselves are usually the result of your builds, your ability choices, and how well you understand the systems before combat even starts. Maybe it helps that I'm also a nerd, yeah, a cool nerd, but still a nerd. For me, trying to understand how everything fits together is generally part of the fun. And even with all that, I was still making mistakes. Yeah, all the way to the end of the game. There are just so many mechanics involved, and sometimes a single word in an ability description can completely change how something behaves. Missing, misreading, or simply forgetting one detail, it's very easy. And I think that's perfectly human. For me, that was actually part of the fun. These games aren't meant to be solved perfectly or played like machines. They are meant to be played by humans, experimenting, learning, getting things wrong sometimes, slowly understanding more as you go, and also adapting along the way. So, if the game feels hard, don't beat yourself up. You are not wrong. The game is hard. And there is absolutely no shame in starting on an easier difficulty and increasing it gradually as things start to click. Because they will, trust me. And since I'm already talking about abilities and gear, that naturally leads into combat. I really enjoy the space fights, even though I wouldn't say I was actively looking forward to them. Because for me, the main attraction was the regular ground-based combat. As a turn-based tactical fan, this game gave me exactly what I was hoping for. Turn order, movement points, action points, cover, line of sight, flanking, all the core systems I enjoy. And all of them were implemented really well. I do think the line of sight indicators could have been a bit clearer using a thicker line, but that's a small thing and I got used to it pretty quickly. What I really liked was the momentum system and how it feeds into the overall strategy. You gain momentum when good things happen, which other games do too, but you also gain momentum when bad things happen through desperate measures. That's a really cool idea, and it adds a lot of tension and drama to fights. Uh, One thing I occasionally wished for was the ability to delay a companion's turn to act later after someone else. But that's just a minor thing that only crossed my mind during a few fights. Visually, the game looks great. It captures the Warhammer 40k universe perfectly. It's grim, but also majestic. The architecture, atmosphere, and overall art direction show a lot of attention to detail. It's not the kind of game that needs to push hardware to its limits, and it shouldn't. Games like this are about depth and atmosphere, and for me, it worked really well. I did notice a few stutters here and there, but nothing that really bothered me. The sound and music are also very well done, nothing flashy, but exactly as much as needed. The voice acting is great, and I especially enjoyed the random companion banter while exploring. Some of those conversations were genuinely hilarious and added a lot of flavor. Since the game isn't fully voiced, I also want to give a major shout out to the Rogue Trader speech mod creator for adding voice dialogue possible where it was missing. I'll leave a link to the mod in the description. I definitely recommend it. The in-game UI, in my opinion, is very well done. It's not bloated, it was very easy for me to learn, and it sticks to familiar generic conventions while keeping a strong Warhammer aesthetic. My main criticism here is inventory management, but honestly, I'm still waiting for an RPG that truly nails inventory systems. I'm not even sure what the perfect solution would look like. One thing I would have loved is more advanced sorting options, like sorting weapons by type first, and then by damage within each of these types. Maybe there is already a mod that does something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. When it comes to gameplay time, yes, it's a long game, but for me, it never felt like it was dragging. Something new was always happening, and the story stayed fresh throughout. My playthrough took around 120 hours, including the main story and plenty of side missions. And a completionist run would easily take longer. Once all DLCs are out, I could absolutely see myself coming back. Maybe next time with a Psyker and Warp Focus build. Maybe even going dogmatic next time. I've heard great things about that. For me personally, the positives massively outweigh the negatives. And even the negatives are mostly minor quality of life things. This is an amazing game overall, and it's very clear how much work and thought Owlcat put into it. This game is now easily in my personal top 5 of all time. On a scale from 1 to 10, I'd give Rogue Trader a solid 9 out of 10. The point I'm taking away is for inventory management, colony management, and the fact that the game is only partially voiced. But honestly, for a game of this scale and ambition, I think Owlcat absolutely hit the home run. I really enjoyed playing this game, and I truly hope you enjoyed watching the journey as well. If you did, feel free to leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and maybe even subscribe. And to those who already did, thank you very much. I genuinely appreciate it. I hope to see you again soon. Until then, take care, stay safe, and bye-bye.